we should. Right. We're now live. So, good morning, everybody, and good evening if you're in Australia. Rene de Koning. Welcome, and everybody, this is an extra special Great Property Meet. We normally run them on a Monday evening. It is evening, it's 7 p.m. Australia time, and here we are joined by Rene de Koning. So whilst everybody logs on, I shall just share my screen and play a brief motivational video all about entrepreneurship for you today, and we'll catch up very shortly.
Most people only pay attention to the final product of a successful entrepreneur. They say things like, I can never be like them, or they got lucky. What most don't see is what they've overcome. All the struggles, the daily rejections, the heartaches, the betrayals, the rumors, the criticism, the empty bank account, and all those lonely nights while trying to make their vision a reality. You see, the only difference between the one who quits and the one who doesn't is that they showed up every day. They worked hard every day. They hustled every day. They learned from a proven mentor every day. They improved every day. They did all this even though they felt like quitting every day. And eventually, they became who they are today.
Good morning and welcome everybody, and good afternoon if you are in Shepparton, Australia, with Rene de Koning, international body language expert. And I am so delighted to welcome my very good friend Rene to join us today, because he's in Australia. He's been down there. You've been working alongside Tony Robbins and others in Australia. And it's fantastic that you can join us again. The last time you were with us, here in this photograph, you traveled all the way from Belgium to be with us live that evening. And body language, it's a topic I find everybody says, I need to know more. Tell me more about it. Now, you're an international expert in this, and we are so privileged to have you with us, because it's the unspoken word. I mean, Rene, do you want to describe to us what body language is in your words? Because you're the expert, and I will not do it the justice that you can.
Thank you for the for the invitation in the first place, Andrew. It's always a pleasure to have chats with you and talk about business, talk about different things as well. Along that, thank you for the introduction as well. Yeah, we're in Australia right now. It's well, 9 hours difference. It's evening, it's dark outside, although it's only 7 o'clock and a bit. But what is body language? Body language is very simple. Body language is the expression of feelings, how you feel inside, how you feel here, what you feel, how you feel it. And that will be expressed by the body language. Compared with other languages, like when you have verbal language, there's a grammar attached to it. If you write, there is a grammar attached to it, even in emojis and the language for blind people or deaf people, there's a grammar attached to it. Whereas for body language, there's no grammar attached to it. Body language is how you feel, and what you feel, you will express it, and that will send out a message that attracts people towards you or pushes them away from you. So that's shortly explain what body language is, in fact.
Well, I've used it many a time in business, and I know, well, we were talking at 5 a.m. this morning, UK time. I think it was probably about 2 p.m. Yeah, it was 2 p.m. your time, wasn't it?
Yeah. And very early for you.
Yeah, well, I'm an early bird, thankfully. And to me, I've used it many times, and you've been a great friend and a great coach to me. And you've taught me different ways to read body language. So is it possible to learn body language or to read body language?
Body language is out there for everybody, in a sense that my question is always, what's your outcome? Some people use it in business. Some people use it in their family environment with kids. Some people use it at school. Lawyers use it in a courtroom. Police officers use it when they arrest somebody. You can use it everywhere. And in fact, everybody can learn it. The question is always, what is your outcome? What do you want from it? And everybody can learn it in a sense that once you start understanding, because that's where it all starts, how neuroscience works, body language is just an extension from it. So if you know that the brain does certain things, the body language is a result of what's going on in here. Like I said earlier, it's based on feelings, how you feel. If you feel sad or you feel excited, if you feel anxiety or you feel super energized, all of these things that I'm now mentioning are feelings. And everybody can learn that if you are in a certain state, you will project a certain amount of information and energy and on a certain frequency. And the other person will get that in, will process it and come back to you. The reason why they say that the external world is in fact a reflection of yourself, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
And the body language is so important in that area. Why is that? Because 7% is only words, as they say, right? So if you speak to somebody, 7% is words. That's also the reason that speaking is conscious. So conscious to conscious, if I speak to you, Andrew, my conscious is speaking to your conscious. That means this is happening in the moment. We will transfer 40 bits of data per second. But if you would look at my hands right now and my facial expressions, my micro expressions, that is 40 million bits of data. Why they say 90% of communication is body language. And then when you start understanding neuroscience and body language, your outcome will be different anyway. Whether you're a lawyer, a police officer, a father or a mom, a teacher, it doesn't matter. So everybody can learn it, but you have to be able to be open. You have to be open enough to say, hey, yeah, I want this because I want a different outcome in my life. Like the video is an amazing video you showed in the beginning. This is a state of mind. I want something, I will get there, whatever it takes. And a lot of people in that area come to my courses and they say, hey, teach me this because I want to grow. I want to go far more further than I am today or where I am today. So yeah, everybody can learn it.
Yeah. It's something that politicians use a lot as well, isn't it? Because politicians generally are schooled in terms of how their body language should be. I mean, what's your experience in that sort of area? Because I've followed you a long time, and your social media, you often have some fantastic posts. And if you don't follow Rene, I suggest you hook up with him on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter, because he posts some brilliant shots. I know you've done some Donald Trump ones, Boris Johnson, and others.
Well, if you can't find me, you have a Wi-Fi issue. I'm on 24 different social media platforms. Something I learned from another trainer. And he said, if you're not on at least 10 different social media platforms, you don't have a reason of existence in this industry. I said, I'm on 24. He says, you're good. So if you can't find me, in terms of politicians, a lot of politicians, presidents, prime ministers, they are trained how to use their body language in a proper way in front of a camera, in front of an audience, in front of whatever situation. One particular example is that, and I posted it, I don't know how many weeks or months ago, about Angela Merkel from Germany, an amazing lady, an amazing politician. However, she's always standing like this, right? And wherever you see her, she will be like this. It's like she doesn't know anything else, always like this. And I had like several pictures of Angela Merkel like this. Bless her. And I wrote on top of it, don't play with super glue, right? Because she's always like this. I mean, super glue. But it is a fact that when somebody is like this, and I'm going to give you a little tips. And if you're like this, that says that you have an awful lot of confidence, that you do know what you're talking about, that you do have an answer ready for every question. So you're very confident when you have your hands like this. Now, some politicians use it in a very natural way. Other politicians just exaggerate. And that is one thing to remember, that body language, you can't fake it. And if you do it in a natural way, if you can't do it in a natural way, do it in a very subtle way, right? Because when people find out that you are doing something very artificial in an artificial way, you're done with them. You lose your credit with these people. But it is a fact. Politicians, presidents, they have coaches around them that teach them on a daily basis. Hey, don't do this, do this. I saw in that video you did it like this and this and this. You will have to change it like this and this and this. And that's the reason why people, some of them are very successful and others are less successful. A big part of it is not only the body language, it's also what they say and their agenda. But a part of it is definitely the body language that they use. Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. And I've seen some brilliant ones. And you've only got to look at the old black and white movies without sound. And it was all body language, wasn't it? Which
this is, I think Adam is watching right now as well. I have something going on now when I'm going back to London with Adam in terms of filming and videoing. Adam Richards, an amazing guy. What we have been talking about a lot is the silent movies, that in those days, you clearly understood what happened in the movie. Whereas today, if you would turn down the sound, you would say, hey, what's happening? You wouldn't understand anything. And that's a very good example, that in the silent movies, they used body language for 100%, not to say 1,000%. Whereas today in modern movie, you really have to, if you turn down the sound, really have to think like, hey, what's happening, right? But yeah, it's a fact. The silent movies were amazing.
It is.
I use some of them in my presentations, in my trainings that I do, and people always say like, oh wow, yeah. Exactly, yeah. So yeah, it is a fact that in the silent movies, as you mentioned, body language was 100% there.
Yeah, well, we're in a different world now where we've gone from silent movies, we've got TV, we've got film, but now we've got this online where everybody's doing Zooms and online presentations. Now, what's the online body language? How should people come across on that side of the thing? Because it's a different dynamic again. You're in Australia, I'm here in the UK.
So what is very important today to understand today is that we might have a discussion about it and we could talk about it for hours, but that COVID-19 will be here and it's meant to stay here, right? We're not going to get rid of it. It's like the flu, it's like yellow fever. If you go to Africa, you got to have like 3-4 different shots before you can enter certain countries. And I think COVID-19 will be a part of that as well. You have a shot and you can travel. I mean, however, what happened in between the start of the COVID and then that shot that you will get in between, there's a change going on, a huge change and a massive change. I mean, and people are on, like you say, Zoom and Skype and all these different channels. And it is very important, even though you're sitting in front of a camera, to use the right body language. You can already see my hands are open, like this, open. If you would pay attention, you will see that when I talk, I always talk like that. So I had a story about an Italian and a Greek selling a truck, one to another. They were selling a truck. I was watching this and I said, these guys having a fight. They're having a fight. No, Greeks and Italians are having that passion of using their hands. Yeah. And there is a fact, if you speak in front of camera, it's very important to have certain details that you have to pay attention to. For example, the lighting, right? I have two of these lights I showed you earlier, two of these round lights, one left, one right. So that round thing is not reflected in my eyes to start with. And the lighting, I don't know how the lighting is right now, but I think it's pretty okay. Back here, there's a background. There's a backdrop, that, as I call it. For people who are doing Zooms and lives on a regular basis, make sure you got a backdrop. They have backdrops on Zoom as well, I guess, that only your body is. But make sure you have a backdrop. So what happens sometimes, it was like a funny picture of a guy doing a Zoom in a shirt and a tie, and there was a mirror behind him, and he was not wearing anything underneath it. I mean, it was on, I think it was Facebook or Twitter, or I don't know where I saw it. I said, watch out when you have a live in front of the camera, that back is a backdrop, not a mirror, not a picture, not all your diplomas, not all of this, because that is this is deviating the attention of the one is watching you and listening to you.
Yeah.
What I try to do as well is use my hands on a very regular basis, like, hey, use my hands, express myself more with my hands. When I would be like this and you can't see my hands, that would be a different story. Make sure the light is coming in from front of you, not the back. Because when the light is coming from the back, right through a window, for example, and some people don't even know that, but the window is behind them and the light is, your face is almost invisible, right? These are all little things. Today I didn't do it, but normally I use can you see this? A clip-on mic, right? A clip-on mic, if you do recordings, changes the sound completely. So these are all little tips and tricks to if you are doing a live in front of the camera, and this is going to be the norm for a long term, for a long period of time. And I think so, even that more and more companies are realizing that there's a meeting tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We go to the meeting, we have coffee, we chat, we sit down, and by midday they say, oh wow, you know, it's too late to get started, let's have lunch together, right? These were the regular meetings on a regular basis, where as today through a video, you have the agenda, A, B, C, D, wrap it up, done. And within 10 minutes or half an hour, the meeting is over. Whereas like years ago, people would sit down at 8 o'clock and then waiting for somebody and then have coffee first. And then, you know, there's a huge change going on right now globally in terms of meetings, and especially meetings online. That's why it's so important to really pay attention to the backdrop, the light, the camera, the tools and you don't have to invest a lot of money. What we did here, maximum 150 Australian dollars, which is 75 pounds maximum. And you buy it through Amazon, done. I mean, so yeah.
That's a cost-effective way of doing it, but also what I've heard from a lot of business people is exactly what you've described there. Their meetings have become much more condensed and focused on the business of the day, which could, in a way, reduce the social interaction and the relationship building that we form. Now, is there a way that we can project a positive body language to people?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. So one of the things I mentioned in my teaching during this training is that we have a left and a right brain. I mean, if you don't have a left brain, I'm sorry, but we all have a left and a right brain, and the left brain is a rational brain and the right brain is the emotional brain. Now, these are connected with your eyes in a diagonal way. So that part, my right brain now is connected with my left eye. my left brain is connected with my right eye. That means that my left brain, which is my rational brain, is connected with my right eye. So my right eye is my rational brain. Is my rational eye. So when I talk about rational things to people, I might turn myself a little bit like this and say, and look with the right eye into the camera and try to focus on your right eye. What am I doing at that very moment is that I will connect my left brain, which is my rational brain, with your left brain, your rational brain. My outcome in the end will be completely different. If you talk about rational things, if you want to talk about emotional things, you might turn like this and show more of your left side, right? And then look with the left eye into the left eye and say, hey, you got it?
Oh, yeah.
So you will influence people in a different way. But it is a fact that if you want positivity to get out there, you just put it out there, but use the correct position of your body. Use open hands. If I would talk about emotional things and show my right side with my hands down, you might say, what the heck is going on there?
Yeah.
Right. So the way the words you use are very important. It's not because they're only 7%. They're very important, the words. However, the body language that goes along with it is far more important. It's 90%.
Yeah, well, I seem to recall looking at this picture and this slide here. This was left brain, right brain. And this interesting photograph here with everybody with their hands like this was actually an exercise that you do in real life, which obviously with Zoom cameras and whatever, you don't want to see our hands right in front of us. Yeah. But we'll have to run through that one another day on another event live, face to face. So
I can do it very quickly, you know. If you spread your arms like this, right, and you look and you make with your hands, you hold your hands like this, but you spread them, right, and then you look through that little hole, focusing with two eyes open on one specific point in the distance, and then you close one eye. If you can still see it, that eye is your dominant eye. And why is that? We might be a dominant person. It might be a rational person, an emotional person. But if before you go into a meeting and you were in an emotional state, you might have to change your state if that business meeting is so important and you have to be very rational. And if you have to be very rational in that business meeting and you're in an emotional state, you can check it before going in that business meeting and then start retraining your brain on a very fast way to get in that rational state. That's the whole thing about the exercise.
Yeah. So it sounds to me like you can use body language to gain competitive advantage effectively in business.
Absolutely.
Are there a few quick tips that you could share in that arena to help people?
One of the major tips that I will give away here is that, first of all, stop talking. Ask questions. Multi-millionaires and billionaires never do the talking. They always will ask questions. The reason they become millionaires and billionaires. And if you ask questions, it's not a guarantee you're going to be a millionaire or billionaire. But if you ask questions, the people you're talking to, they have to come up with a story. And it's with that story that you can work. That means I will ask you a question. Now the question is, which question? And which question you should ask is open questions. Which, where, when, why, who, how. And if you have an open question, people have to come up with a story. They can't answer yes or no. They have to come up with a story. And it's that story that will reveal so many things about them, about their body language, if they're lying, if they're, etc., etc., etc. So first tip is ask questions. Which questions? Open questions. Tip number 2, try to find out, are there team players? Are there solo players? Are there emotional or rational? Are there active and fast or calm and soft? And that is based on the DISC method. I don't know if you remember the red, yellow, green, blue. If you can find out through asking the questions which personality is right in front of you, that's an advantage. right? And the last tip I'm going to give away is that be natural. Never exaggerate. Because if you exaggerate in terms of your body language, because there's a lot of body language out there. I mean, I'm not the only trainer in body language. There's millions of them. I mean, and if you follow certain, how shall I say, trainings in body language, and you follow whatever they say, but in a very artificial way, people will run away from you because it's too artificial. So be natural. People say, "Oh my God," I said, "Shush, be you." And say the things that your own body language will follow in a natural way. There's so many more tips and tricks, but what I advise people to do, if possible, come to one of my trainings. I have another one in London now coming up in September. Was it the 19th and 20th or 20th and 21st? I should have a look. You could find it on the website, which is myname.com, renedekoning.com.
Yeah, we'll drop a link in the YouTube chat box. I mean, if anybody's got any questions out there on the live chat, drop them in and we'll pose those to Rene. I mean, I think you raised a very good point there, which is about being authentic, being yourself, and use the body language to identify your strengths and your weaknesses, and to identify the person you're working with or opposite, and use it to gain some tactical advantage. And that can help you improve your body language without coming over as fake, because some people in life say fake it till you make it. The problem is, if you fake body language and you're not authentic and you're outside of your normal persona, people see straight through it and you lose credibility.
Yeah. Your gut feeling of somebody will say, you don't even have to know body language. Your gut feeling already says like, something's wrong here. And yeah, but we're now, we're going to start filming as we speak. And the body language trainings will be online available pretty soon. So for those who really are interested in like, hey, I want to follow a training, or I want, it will be available very soon. The only thing I can advise is follow me on social media. On the website, there's continuously new things coming up. And yeah, because body language is really, it changed my life for the better. And for those who follow body language, I know one thing for sure, it changed their lives as well, for the better. But it's like everything. If you want to learn how to drive a car, you have to practice.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to play the piano, you have to practice. And with body language, it's not different. You have to practice. You have to practice. But the more you do it, the better you become, and a new world will open up. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of people who have seen you at this live event and joined you, and they have said it's been transformational for them. And they've even taken partners along, life partners, and it's improved relationships because you can understand each other better. So it's a phenomenal skill to grab hold of. And I think the online videos that we were talking about earlier, I'll certainly share those. I'll drop some links in the box below for everybody as well.
Yeah.
But it's been phenomenal. I mean, I'm truly honoured, Rene, to have had you on here live from Australia today. And the brilliant news is you're telling us that you're also coming to the UK and you're going to be running an event here. And I believe it's a COVID safe event as well. And you've got limited numbers on that.
They informed me that there's a huge room, but I'm limited to 20 people. And this is not a marketing strategy. It is what it is. Due to Corona, I am limited to 20 people in that big room. It's going to be a massive, a massive thing to organize. A lot of things to think about in terms of safety, security, distance, and all that stuff. But I'm willing to do that. And yes, I'll be traveling in the next couple of days for 24 hours in an airplane. That's what it is, 24 hours of flying. But you've done it as well.
I was there last year, briefly in Sydney and New Zealand last year. So it's a good journey. It's a good sacrifice, and what you're giving up. So, I mean, if you are interested in body language, I strongly suggest you hook up with Rene. I'll drop a link in the box below so that you can connect with Rene and follow him on social medias. I don't think I know you 23 social medias. I mean, you must have an army of people.
Yeah,
I'm connected with you on a few of them, but yeah.
There's hundreds of them out there. The reason I'm on 24, a lot of people in Europe will not get the other ones because they're on the other side of the planet as well. I'm on the Russian platform. I'm on the Iranian, Asian platforms. I'm on because I travel around the globe teaching body language. I was in February in Tehran and Iran, flew back to London, asked me to go back to Tehran, but they didn't allow me because of the outbreak of the COVID. And then I flew directly to Melbourne. In Melbourne, I had a new contact in Thailand, and in Thailand they say, hey, send us some material. We want to know more. So, you know, you travel. Now it's more restricted because of what's happening in the world. But it's all these platforms are from, globally. It's
Well, you've been, shall we say, politely stuck in Australia for a little while, but from the sounds of it, you've really been enjoying the culture and the food. And we were chatting earlier about an amazing day out you had yesterday. Where was it?
Well, we decided to, for the last couple of days I'm here, to go on a road trip. And the region of Warraganta, something like that. Don't ask me the details. A lot of the cities and villages over here are named with an Aboriginal name. And it's very interesting to see certain names of certain cities and villages. But where we were, there was literally nothing. It was like the African savannah. Nothing. I mean, nothing. Just a log cabin where we were, and then traveling around. And it's amazing. Australia is an amazing continent. But I'm looking forward to come back to London too. That's a fact.
Yeah, well, we shall have a catch up, a COVID-safe beer, and get together with you, Ellie, and just have a nice chillax time. And I'm very conscious you've got another appointment as well today, and you've managed to very, very carefully slot us into a very busy schedule. So, Rene, I mean, any last parting words for our audience before we say goodbye?
I would like to thank everybody who joined us. If you don't know anything about body language, please learn it. It has plenty of advantages. If you are a beginner in terms of Zoom and Skype and online meetings, just go ahead, do it. I was very afraid in front of camera more than 25 years ago. Today, there's cameras everywhere. If you would have a look what's happening here right now, but keep doing it and it's going to be okay. And in terms of the body language, Andrew, what can I say? It's changed my life completely. It turned my life upside down. Body language brought me around the planet. Also, in terms of relationships, I got so much better relationships today than I had like 25 years ago. And I mean, I surround myself with people like a Tony Robbins and Ty Lopez, a Grant Cardone, Gary V, Michael Lane from Sydney, Michael Burnett, the guys from Success Resources. I can go on and on and on and on. But that is also because when you change your state, your environment changes as well.
Yeah.
And some people stay away from you, and maybe they have to stay away from you. And you don't lose a friend, you just make new friends. And it's incredible what body language did for me. And I can say only one thing. I hope it can change something for you, Andrew, and for the ones who are watching and listening. That's would be a real pleasure to see that happen.
No, most definitely. Well, you make an impact every time we connect, and I always take away something, and this morning was no exception to that as well. But we'll stay off camera for. So
yeah,
Rene, thank you very much for joining us today. It has been an absolute delight and a pleasure. And if you want to catch up with Rene, it's renedekoning.com. It's an unusual spelling, so I'll drop that in the box below. And anybody with any questions, please hook up with Rene directly. He's a brilliant guy. You can't get better. And as you can see, the people who work with Rene are, well, shall we say, leaders in their fields of expertise as well. So thank you very much for joining us. And thank you, everybody out there, for joining too.